When you make a movie from a video game, you have to tell a story in first, and after tell that story in the universe of the original material.
It's not specifically a film of professional assassin. It's more close to the spy film.
At the end of the day, as you're just left with the story, it's all I'm interested in trying to tell.
There is no such a thing as a video game movie. There's either good movies or bad movies. And you know, Hitmän is a good movie just because it started with a good script and it started with a great character and a great idea. You walk a very fine line where you're trying to adapt something that is extremely popular in another medium, be it a comic book or a novel, a graphic novel or a video game, because the core fan base has a certain amount of expectation, and that's truly valid, and you want to go ahead and fulfill those expectations. At the same time, you have to, in any movie, you have to have a story that makes sense. You have to have a character that makes sense, and we believe that if you take all the ingredients from the game and put them into a script, a good script for a movie, you're going to please the fans and the non-fans.
What is attracted me in the Skipwood script is the universe developed inside the script and the modus operandi of the character. He showed the character in his natural universe all the time, and after he show him in different situations, in different missions, and in the movie Skipwood take that element of the video game and put that in the script, and after from that element we have a new story of Hitman, who is at the beginning an hunter, became an hunted, and the action can begin.
Well, when Fox called us and said, what do you guys think about Xavier Gans? And we sort of became very familiar with his work very fast, and two things were apparent. He was an incredible shooter. He could shoot this kind of movie as good as anybody out there. And number two, very smart with story and extremely passionate about the Hitman franchise and the Agent 47 character. He was a fan of the game, but at the same time, he was a filmmaker. He wasn't just interested in making a movie for the fans. He wanted to make a movie for everybody who loves this genre.
I was involved in Hitman after Luc Besson saw my first feature film was The Mid Frontiers. He showed the movie to Fox, and after Fox trusted me to give me the direction of Hitman. And when they said, okay, let's go to do the movie, we have just 3 months to prepare the movie. And that was a great challenge.
It's a very meticulous, beautifully shot movie that pays homage to the game and respects the game, and there's a tremendous amount of love for the game conveyed in it, but at the same time it's just this incredibly operatic action movie, and that's what Xavier brought to the table.
Xavier was fantastic to work with, and he's wonderful. He's a great visual director, and his points of reference for this movie, you know, covered many different genres of films.
Xavier, master genres. Always a master. Always. Never a pickup shot. And the action stuff, he has to start doing pickups, but man, all the time.
For my directing style, what I have want to do is to be all the time in movement, like in the video game. It's like you follow the action and you're like on board with 47 in the action, and is why I have used a lot of Steadicam movement. And for the opening of different scenes, I have used a lot of crane movement to be in a very elegant universe and to be really close to the animatic of the video game.
Stay here.
We wanted someone that you could look in his eyes and feel that he's incapable. He's capable of doing anything, and Tim has that, and he's also a terrific actor, and he's extremely got this sort of quiet in him that, you know, you sort of unpredictable. Call it an unpredictable sense of calm. everybody feels strongly that we cast the right guy, and you know, he's terrific in the movie. I mean, he delivers the character, and you know, he's now Agent 47 for millions of people.
Whatever my pre-existing ideas of what a video game movie should feel like, it didn't feel like one, and I felt it was very reminiscent of some of the old John Woo films or Luc Besson films, which I was a huge fan of, and I thought it was just pretty clearly a tremendous opportunity.
I think Timothy Olyphant is a real good choice for the character of 47 because physically, first, he can add the two faces of the good and the evil one. And after that, he's a great actor to give you something really cold, very dark, and to have a sort of emotion coming inside him, and you can feel him pass to a dark emotion to a sad emotion in very quick time. And that's why it's really amazing to have an actor like him in the character of 47.
I'm June, and you are? This is where you tell me your name.
Excuse me.
I think 47 is really different than the other killer in the other movie because it's a killer really elegant, really classy, and very efficient on his execution.
What I thought that was interesting to explore was sort of this, the quietness and the loneliness. It almost felt like a traveling salesman kind of thing, quality to it. And it was kind of fun to explore that side.
At the beginning, 47 is just a killer, a cold, bold killer, and he killed people with very violent manner. And he met a girl, and when he met that girl, Olga Kurilenko, he became more human, and he understand a little bit more why he do that, and he became to be afraid about what he done.
I think he gets touched by her because he sees a little reflection of himself in her, and that happens when he notices her tattoo. He has a tattoo too on the back of his head, and she has a tattoo on her cheek. So I guess that's what make him feel closer to her. He can identify himself to her somehow, and that's where it starts from.
That was the part of the story that I thought was the most attractive, that you had these two people that were clearly very damaged. And I thought there was something without betraying type of character 47 is, and to that degree the game and the source material, to be able to find just a smidgen of a love story in there, I thought was really nice.
I think what is really interesting in the relationship between Tim and Olga is the sort of match, the tennis match between them, because they all the time have a sort of exchange very strong in the scene, and they give the best of them for all the line they got to help them to be the best they can.
I swear I'll
Stop
never...
talking.
If you're looking for a reason not to kill me, I don't really have one. I'm not a whore by choice.
She's kind of a lonely soul, that's for sure, because she is trapped by this man, her boyfriend, Belikov, and who she doesn't love, and she's there against her will.
She did a fantastic job. I mean, really just did a fantastic job. And I feel very fortunate to have been able to work with her, and feel fortunate that she was, in the movie at all. But, she had a tough job. That part is a difficult part, and asks a lot of an actress. I really can't say enough good things about her.
Most of the time I worked with Timothy, and most of my scenes are with Timothy. He was the person who made me comfortable on the set and being there with Xavier, but he was, because he was my partner, he did a great job.
Please, stop.
She saved your life.
Well, I thought it was a good action film. You know, I do the movies that I tend to do sort of change from project to project. I like to do different kind of genres of films, and I liked the story, and I liked the you know, the relationship between Hit-Man and my character, Mike Whittier, you know, the Interpol detective who's been tracking him for years. So it was kind of like a cat and mouse game, which is very much the way the studio saw it.
Dougray's a fantastic actor. I've been a fan of Dougray for a long, long time, and we're really lucky to have him. I thought he was great. I thought he's just perfectly cast.
Me and Tim got on very, very well. We became friends pretty quickly, and we both had a similar view about the relationship between Agent 47 and Mike, my character. And, you know, through the course of rehearsals, we both wanted to go in the same direction vis-a-vis the relationship that the two of them had. And we had a great time working together. And he's fantastic, Tim, and I like him enormously.
In our story, you know, we sort of explored this idea that, you know, these guys were sort of the two sides of the same coin. You know, 47 looks at him and sees his ability to kind of function in society, and yet, you know, he's got blood on his hands, and so that becomes a bit of a fascination for my character.
I think first of all, he's obsessed with him because that's his job. He's been tracking this guy, this agent, this assassin for many years, and he knows every hit he's ever done, of which there are many. And I think he's become obsessed with tracking this assassin down. My character's 2 steps ahead of most people in the movie, but 1 step behind Agent 47, so he just nearly gets them. And they come face to face a couple of times in the movie, the beginning and the end and in the middle. And I think the relationship is quite intriguing as to, you know, what it is they think about each other when they finally meet. And I think there's a lot of respect, you know, Agent 47 for my character and my character for Agent 47.
What is good with Dougray Scott, he got that really interesting dark side inside him. And for the character of Mike Whittier, that is really interesting to have a character really elegant like Dougray, but with that really dark attitude, dark side he can give to the character, and you cannot know if it's a bad guy or a good guy. But you know he got a good intention, but you know also he can be really dangerous.
The light bulb comes on. Took me a minute. Must be the jet lag. You're telling me to fuck off?
Of course not. You're a good man, Michael. One of Interpol's best. But leave this intelligence work to the FSB.
Robert Knepper, it's amazing Yuri on the movie, because when we have begun to work on the movie together, he have learned some Russian line, and he bring a lot of ID on the character. He asked to add an earpiece, like he spoke all the time with the KGB, and he searched all the time a lot. He's an actor really in the details of the different elements, and he want to build his character with a lot of outside details to give to him some credibility, and you have to feel the characters really true, and that is really strong with Robert.
Xavier is an amazing director. He's one of my favorite directors I've ever worked with, and what I love a lot about him is his childlike quality, and children don't explain. They just do it. There's not enough time, whether you're shooting a television show or you're shooting a movie, even though this movie, for instance, and maybe it's the way the French shoot, I mean, you can tell pretty quickly the style of something when you're in the moment shooting it. You don't need somebody to say, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do it. You don't need that. You just sort of do it. And then to have his reaction be, so, oh, yeah, it's magnifique. It's all this great French stuff that you're surrounded by. It's terrific.
Robert was good because we have quite a lot of scenes, myself and Yuri. So Robert Knepper was great, played a great Russian, and there's a very antagonistic relationship between the two of them because Mike, you know, who is, you know, he's very bright, and he's been involved with these many government agencies throughout the years. He knows, you know, he can smell instinctively what's going on here, and there's some sort of cover-up.
You did your job, and you did it very well. And for that, my boy, you should be proud.
You know, the notion of making movies like Hitman, you go for the best actors for the part. You almost don't need to get huge stars. Now, Tim and Doug Gray are big stars, and Tim was on his way to becoming a giant movie star. But you really want to go get the best actors for the part.
I play a character named Belikov, Mikhail Belikov, and he is a politician. He is a bad guy.
I think what is really interesting with Ulrich Thomsen, who is playing Belikov, he got that elegance of a Danish actor. He's really in a retention of the emotion. He's really cold on his acting, and he gives you something really human, really natural, but you can feel a lot of perversion behind, and it's really great for that, because just with a look he can freeze you, because you could be really afraid by his prestation, his performance on the movie, and for that Ulrich is really great.
In films, it's funny to play the bad guy. It's fun to be killed in a movie. It's funny to kill people in a movie. I had the best fun making this. I mean, I've never been killed so many times in a film. My head was blown off. I was shot in the head, and then I was shot 11 times after I'm dead. On top of that, I'm lying as my own double in the morgue with a bullet, hole in my head. So it was like every day I was on the set, people were taking a shot at me.
I think to successfully translate a video game to a film, you have to respect the original material, because there is people who work on the art direction, for example, of the video game. There is a conception of a universe, and there is a logic of that universe. And if you respect the logic of the universe and the material you used for the movie, you can after make a movie, but you don't have to forget to tell a story.
We have totally respected the video game, but we are saying to the people, now it's time to come to the truth. The Hitman is real, he lives, he is a real guy, and you're going to really meet with him.
This is also a film. It's impossible to respect strictly the game. We have to think about the dramaturgy, we have to think about rhythm. So, of course, for my job was between. Sometime we pick up some pictures of the games, and sometime I was free. In collaboration with Xavier and everybody to create a world of 47.
It was very cool to have a partnership with Laurent Barres on Hitman, because he gave me already the possibilities to shoot where I want in any moment of the days of shooting, and his way all the days he make a light from the top, and he give me the opportunity to move my camera where I want, and there is a lot of time where I want to use something like 4 or 5 cameras in the same time, and for the light is really complicated to have some different elements on the set, and you have to put everything from the top. And with that solution we can move and make what we want every day without an expensive schedule.
More or less, we have all the device for moving a camera on this film. We have hand camera, we have Steadicam, we have crane, tripod, dolly, cable cam. It was incredible, because every day we set the camera in so many different kind of positions that sometime Xavier was lost himself. Said, "What can I do?" So, okay, we have this. I think we're editing more or less 4,000 shots in the film. It's for one hour and 30 minutes. It's very, very, very. The storyboard is very important for Xavier, because it helped him to have an idea what he wants to shoot, but it's not the end. When you shoot only the storyboard, at the end you're a little bit disappointed, because you have the feeling that the rhythm is too low. So when we arrive on the set, the storyboard is the references for how it works. It's a references for a lot of technicians to set up all the stuff.
He is likely responsible for over 100 deaths. Let me show you what I mean. This is Ovi. And these are just the ones we know about. Are you beginning to get the picture?
As the story takes us in the deep side of all Eastern Europe, provides to the film the dark side that we're looking for with our modern and contemporary characters inside of that. This provides to the intensity and the violence of the film.
The character of 47 is very much an international character. I mean, he really in the games he has no nationality, and most of his adventures take place overseas, particularly in Eastern Europe and in Europe itself. So it has that European international flavor to it. The script never set foot in the United States. It opens in Africa, and then it goes to Russia, and then it goes to Istanbul, and then it comes back to Russia, and is in Eastern Europe. And we shot the movie in Bulgaria, so it allowed you to sort of have those flavors. And a lot of people that worked on the movie were European, so it sort of brought that sensibility to it. But it was something that we were all conscious of, the studio and us. We wanted this movie to really have that international European flavor.
You quickly.
That's going to be a scene, a bit of a scene back there. That she picks up.
She
so I say dessert menu. She notices what's going on behind me.
Yes,
I see that she notices it, right? So I'm staying right here.
At that moment, you connect her attention to ask for the check, but I'm not done.
Sometimes there might be a language problem if you got people from all these different countries. Dugray's from Scotland, Timothy's American like me, Olga, Ukrainian, now living in Paris, Ulrich from Denmark. You know, it's funny, we all kind of speak the same language after a while, even if you don't speak perfect English, which Xavier does, I have to say. He's surrounded by translators. You just get a feeling with the way people move their hands, or they kind of look at you like, a little bit more. I mean, you know you're either going in the right direction or not. Everyone gets along really well. We're all here to tell a really good story, and it's been bliss.
I think that was really interesting to work on Hitman with that world crew, because everybody got different way to work on a big production like that. That was amazing to have all that energy coming in the same project, but that was a great experience because everybody's exchange the experience they got, and at the end we have a very performance crew to make the movie.
On a décroché. On a décroché. La vidéo tourne, Serge.
No! Here we go! Here we go! Okay. All right, I'll take it.
Well, I think that Hitmen are kind of sexy and they're sort of someone that people want to be and never will be. So it's a kind of a fantasy, you know, the audience are taking on a journey with the character. And hopefully, you know, they can enjoy that experience, you know, from a cinematic experience point of view.
It's a black suit with a white shirt and a red tie on a pale figure.
It was one of the first games I could think of where you were committing acts of violence to protect yourself. You were supposed to go out there and kill people.
They could put him on a white horse, and that would be about the closest they could get to actually just having him look like he was riding out of the Book of Revelations.
should translate better to a movie than other games.
When Hitman released in 2000, what it tried to do was provide players with options. And it wasn't truly open world, but what it was a very entertaining sandbox. And from a gameplay standpoint, what that generated was a lot of choices you didn't have in any other games.
The first Hitman game was the first of that particular genre to open up and do away with the linear mission structure.
The starting point for the developers back then was that this time we need to make a game that no one's seen before, and we need to make it as complex as we can.
It introduced a layer of strategy that you didn't see before. That got a lot of people hooked on this whole idea of not just running out and killing everyone on sight with two pistols blazing, but the idea of like creeping and hiding behind shadows and sneaking behind guys and just taking care of business without alerting everyone else.
In Hitman, you need to think a little bit more what to do and how to play the game.
That completely changes the way in which you get satisfaction out of a game. Because if you feel like, wow, look what I came up with and beat the computer, you're gonna feel better than, wow, I did what everyone else did.
In the Hitman game, we wanted to make a story-driven action stealth adventure.
Story is important to video games, because without story, you have no motivation.
What we had is a pretty short background story, what we wanted to tell in each chapter, in each level of the game. And as soon as we now get into making the level design, we expanded that and wrote all the scripts. So in the end, we had a whole big script.
The inspirations from Hitman obviously came from video games in general, but definitely from Hollywood.
Guys that made the first design of Hitman were big fans of Luc Besson's The Professional, Leon. And that type of movie where it's a little bit noir, a little bit mysterious, and not just a glamorous Hollywood production.
What they took out of other movies to create what became Number 47, the Hitman behind the series, was a little bit of the conspiracy theory, and then they take that and meld it with the creativity that you need in order to pull off some of these hits.
We wanted to make his background story more intriguing and more special. That's why we came up with this clone business.
He's the end result of a breeding cloning program that attempted to make the ultimate assassin warrior.
We don't know his mother, and we only know his fathers. They are 5 guys with all evil genes, putting them together to make this perfect assassin.
He wakes up in the first game and doesn't know who he is, what he's doing there, and he kind of finds his way.
What makes Agent 47 unique is that he doesn't have as strong a character as, say, you're looking at Lara Croft or Solid Snake. And for me, I think that's a good thing.
But Agent 47 is a little bit different from most other video game characters because he doesn't really have a backstory because he doesn't know his own backstory.
He doesn't really have a background, which makes him so open to interpretation.
You get to create who that character is through your own play style.
It's not like he's just some hollow shell that points a gun at people. You start finding out through the course of these games that he's a real person, he's been used, and you're trying to figure out exactly how and why.
I think that it's interesting to see him transfer to a movie as well, because he is such a blank slate that you fill in, but we all have an idea of what he looks like if the camera was wrapped around to the front instead of behind him.
He's an anti-hero. First of all, he's very stylized and very cool to look at. He's always cool in situations.
47 stands out because he has a very distinct look. He has the shaved head and the very iconic suit, the tie and the white shirt.
It's the dark side of James Bond, the suave, sharply dressed, except Agent 47 really isn't suave.
It took some of the things that we have in the Bond movies, but you took the softness of the Bond movie out of it, and you just had this very cold-hearted killer, which I think made it a little bit easier for you as the player to get into the game and engage in what is some rather unsavory behavior. The real appeal to me of the Hitman games is you kind of fantasize about being a cold-blooded killer. I don't want to be one in real life, but you know, there is something very empowering about taking on a character like that. And it really gives you a vicarious way of leading a life that you really should never want to do in your real life. So,
how can you go out and kill another human being and just act like that's your job? That's kind of the fascination I have, at least.
Agent 47 is always very much meant to be a cipher, where it's very easy for the player to pretend, well, if I was a really cool bald guy with 2 silver pistols, I'd be just like that.
He usually is always going after people that are just bad people. He's never trying to assassinate a politician who's trying to do good works. He's always going after corrupt people, drug dealers, terrorists. These people are getting what's coming to them.
when you go from a game to a movie, it's usually because you've got a nice mix of ideas inside of the game that aren't so completely articulated that the movie can expand upon that and can find all the nice elements of it and try to create a broader story, once again without violating what made the game so appealing in the first place.
I think to successfully translate a video game to a film, you have to respect the original material, because there is a conception of a universe and there is a logic of that universe. And if you respect the logic of the universe and the material you used for the movie, you can after make a movie, but you don't have to forget to tell a story.
We felt that if we took the core ingredients of the game, which are very cinematic, and translate them into a great story, great script, the fans of the game are going to come along for the ride.
I think Hitman is a very good candidate for an adaptation into a very good movie because it's so grounded in reality in the first place. He doesn't use any science fiction weaponry like laser beams or anything like that. It's a very visceral game, very tactile. You don't have anything that really disconnects you from reality.
I've been waiting for a good video game-based movie that tells me more about a character or explores it from a different angle that I couldn't see in the games.
That's one of the cool things about this character. You just don't want to be him. You want to know more about him and the world that he comes from. And I always felt that that would be an extremely cinematic character.
If you have a character that's iconic, you want to see that character brought to life right.
Without betraying the type of character 47 is, and to that degree the game and the source material, to be able to find 47's quest to try to figure out who's after him and why they're after him.
One of the big challenges about making a movie out from Hitman game is that normally we didn't put that much emotions into Hitman. We didn't put very much feelings into Hitman because we would like to let the player actually put the feelings into Hitman. In a movie, the director needs to define that in advance because it's not like the spectators can choose how to watch the movie.
In Hitman, the point of view on the character is already a camera behind him, and sometimes a little bit higher behind him. And we have used sometime inside the movie that point of view to give a sort of trigger reference to the gamer.
When you're writing a movie, what you really need to capture about Hitman is that style and that simple pleasure in existence that the game's captured, where why does he do these things? Because he's very good at them. And that defines the character.
Well, it's very popular everywhere you go. People are like, oh, Hitman, that's cool, that's such an amazing video game. So I think already it has a huge sort of audience out there in anticipation of the movie.
I guess people would want to see him, you know, silently taking someone out, using disguises, obviously.
Seeing the iconic shots of the barcode, seeing him from behind with the guns and like the tie blowing in the wind, all that stuff, that's gonna look great, I think, on the big screen.
In the movie, they're definitely gonna see a bald guy in a black suit and a red tie. And that is, for me, just enough.
Ok, stand by. À toi, Gracie. Entre, entro, enma, y, ras, ba!
They wanted to see many guns, They want to see all the guns and choose inside. So the director wanted to see what's going to fit in his location with his actors and all that. We had to get very graphic guns for the Hitman. This is why we choose some of that gun, you know, that are very good looking and technical.
Say that again. You want me to shoot again this way?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so two together.
Then.
Oh.
If it's possible. C'est possible ça avec le fusil? Ouais. And boom.
Oh, okay, so.
A lot of bullets.
The munition when you
The first training as a technician to be on set with the dangerous props is the knowledge to know how to carry the weapon, what not to do, don't put finger on the trigger when you're outside set, the way you have to behave yourself with the weapon outside the rolling and the cutting of the camera, I mean outside filming. So all this needs to be explained, and the actor needs to be familiar with that.
There's no logic to crossing your... It's just not. I mean, there's just nothing about that makes a lot of sense. But we worked it into the movie anyway. Why? Because it's in the game and it looks cool.
We had someone there every day with the guns, and you know, we trained as well in sort of ways in which to ambush people and ways in which to hold the gun and what you look out for and how much of yourself to show when you're in an environment, a dangerous environment, as it were.
When you have two guns like this and you're holding them, you want to hold this one a little higher than that one because the cartridges discharge to the right. And if you have the gun this way, it goes bink, bink, and then you look like asshole.
You have 15 bullets each.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Donc the time is about brrr.
Yes.
Yes. Brrr,
Yes.
brrr.
Yes.
It's about 3 seconds. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of cool working with guns. You know, I don't own a gun myself personally, but it is kind of cool to get to play with these guns. And you know, I've done lots of gun training before, and it is kind of cool. Use all these. I mean, Agent 47 uses like a gazillion guns. I've only got one, but even that was fun to pull out, run along with, fire it off. It's great fun. I mean, I always do training, but if you've ever got to fire guns off, even if you've done it many times before, you've got to refresh yourself because you've got to be safe, because these guns can be dangerous as well because they're firing blanks, but the blanks have got a charge, so you've got to be very careful about where you fire it off and where the cartridges go when they come out of the gun itself.
You have to know it when you go to shoot someone in the arm. Those are the little things you want to keep in mind. And you're going to go shoot him like this, and you realize that's going to go right in his freaking mouth. And so you got to tilt the gun that way. Little tips.
On the movie, we had the Hitman, Agent 47, who was using this pistol, and we made a copy of the pistol here that is used to shoot close. So I can shoot in my hand. Look, the flash will go straight to my hand without burning. You see?
Take one, A, B, and C count. Ok, ça tourne tout le monde? Ouais, go. Ok, attention. And 3, 2, 1, action!
When we shoot a scene where there is a lot of gun firing and a lot of gun, there is a sort of ritual with the armorer who came to protect everybody with some shield and with helmet, with shield for the face, and it's like okay, we entering in the very important moment of the day, and we have to take all the security. Also, if the gun is empty, we take all the time a lot of security to be sure there is no accident on the set.
And action!
People involved in the sequence where we have guns and fights are directors, AD, stuntman, SFX people, and armorers. So when we're talking about get involved in the fight sequence, we are all together And the director say, okay, next shot, I would like to have this man jumping out. And so everybody is involved in that, know where he can put his stuff. And if something is wrong for the safety of one of the people, we say, oh, I'm sorry, if you jump there with the gun like that, and the man just passing there, we get the case is there. So we can cheat by putting the gun on the side, changing the hand of the gun, or using another gun at this time of the stuff. And the director choose and say, okay, don't worry, let's use something else. Avoid that gun, put a revolver not to have cases, and we make it work. And then, action.
Super.
Ok, la suite c'est Yann dans le bassin.
Here you have the gun of the Agent 47, which is a para-ordnance P18.9. It's a heavy capacity magazine, and it's a 9mm pistol. This gun is made in Canada. It's made by para-ordnance, and it's used for sporting rifle or for police officers, but more in black colors, things like that, because silver is a bit fancy. Because it's a high capacity mag, it can shoot a lot during the scene, and boom, 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 without reloading. And no, it worked very well. So we're gonna shoot with the pistol to start, with the pistol of Agent 47, and you're gonna see it's pretty fun. Different type of weapon that we didn't talk already is the sniper rifle. And the man Hitman, the Agent 47, was using this rifle. And this is a last generation of sniping rifle. It's a Blazer, made in Germany. And it's all the special forces in Europe are using it as a medium range sniper rifle. It's a .308 caliber, so it's a medium range. You have some sniper rifle in 223 and some much bigger in 50 cal or whatever. So this is much a medium range. And also the look with the fluted barrel and with the polymer frame, it gives a new modern design rifle. So let me show you how it shoots. Voilà. For sure, we are using some M16. So, M16 for the special forces. So, same thing, regular M16. We put aluminium birdcage, torches, laser, lens, so it gives them a look, gives them a complete look. Clack. With the laser also inside. So this gun were used by the leaders of the SWAT teams, and on some we also had some grenade launcher underneath, and they are very powerful when you shoot with it, and you will see that now. Ready? Good. So now we're going to use the F2000, which is one of our new rifle that was used on Hitman for the SWAT team. You ready? You can see the cases fly from the front of the gun. The difference with all the others fly from the side. It's a new type of gun, cases flying there. I shoot in single, now it's going to be in full auto. Et voilà. This one is a micro Uzi made in Israel. And in America, there is also the Mac 10, similar to the micro Uzi, very small, very powerful, and very fast shooting. About 1,200 rounds a minute. So it goes very fast. The mag is around 30, the mag is 30 rounds. So it goes like 2 seconds, it's empty. It's empty. So now we're gonna shoot with a little submachine gun, which is the micro Uzi. It was used from the bad guy in the movie. It's a very fast machine pistol that shoots very quick, you will see. Too fast, empty and safe. So now we're going to shoot a big gun. It is just to replace the PKMS that we had on the movie. They are already on another show. So we have a mag which is nearly the same caliber, just to show you the effect and how it works. It's a heavy machine gun. This one is a mag, or M240 or 249 in American Army. It's mounted on the tank or on vehicles, and it's a very powerful machine gun. So, may I show you? Okay. Ready? Voilà.
I tend to work, on my instinct and try to find a way that the music can be symbiotic to the picture and to the story. The score is there to help translate the concepts of the film. You have a story to tell, and it's already there for you. The director gave it to you, the screenwriter gave it to you, so you have to tell the story musically. On the one hand, sometimes you're very subtly, stirring the pot, and you don't necessarily need to get in the way of the actor's acting. Sometimes you get a music-only moment where you're getting to comment on, something that's just happened or is about to happen. When I first started, I had an enormous amount of freedom. They sent the film over, I took a look at it, and fortuitously, I guess, I was inspired right away. And so I sat down actually the day I got the film and I started working, just trying to throw ideas around, see what would come back and see what things were starting to work. But yeah, to be fair, I had probably more creative freedom than I've ever had actually in my career. I actually like the way that Timothy Oliphant portrays a character. That was the first thing I reacted to, and he felt very precise. The first thing I thought of was like a watchmaker. Everything is perfectly in sync with his environment. And so the first cue I worked on was an action cue. It's like a hotel escape sequence where he's very methodical about his way of, getting out of this particular bind. That was the first thing. I started hearing clocks, actually, because we're talking about the precision of a watch and all of these sort of ticking time bomb kind of elements that are all very rigid. So that was actually where I started. 47's theme was the first thing that I wrote. It's actually more like a riff. You know, it's not like the big Hollywood tune or anything. It's just it's a very mechanical, precise ostinato that goes on and sort of defines his character musically. So 47's theme actually started as a string riff. You know, very short, very tightly played string motif. And I knew there were going to be electronic elements in the score, so that's sort of my rhythm section, and then the orchestra is doing this very relentless, methodical ostinato that sort of loops back into itself. It's cyclical, because that's his method. He's a mechanical killing machine. It gets used in many different ways in the film. You know, it was conceived as an action piece, but then sometimes it can do intrigue, and it can also, at one point, actually counterplay against for lack of a better term, the love theme. It's not like a traditional love theme in that it ends with this big, you know, happy thing, because it isn't. You know, this is a doomed relationship, and we know that from the outset. I didn't want it to have like a pure Western approach. There's of course an orchestra, but I wanted it to feel like maybe slightly alien, because 47's sort of trying to connect with her. She's obviously trying to connect with him, and they're both lost souls, really. The role of music in an action movie is quite a bit different from, you know, other genres in that it's less about the subtlety and what's going on inside the character. It's more about the surface of the picture, you know, what exactly is happening. It's much more in sync, you know, in that regard. And so you're trying to get as much impact out of the music as you can. You know, I think it's a little bit different in this film from what you'd expect, because it's all slightly more laid back. It's not frantic action. He's got a method, he's got discipline, and so it's all very rigid the way that, you know, the music is played out. Another thing that I wanted to do with the score was have a hybrid of this orchestra, this electronics, there's a slight choral element, and there's brass, and so the orchestra gives him his heart, the choir gives him his size, the brass, you know, gives him his balls, really, and the electronics give him his methodical, mechanical precision. And so there's a great deal of electronic elements that bring in this texture that, you know, takes it out of the realm of just a traditional film score.